Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 129 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
So guys and girls, welcome back to the show. We had a little sabbatical last week. I just had lots of things going on. Didn't manage to get a show done. I've got some awesome shows lined up for you, so don't worry about that. Not going anywhere. And today's show is an absolute humdinger. Just before we get off to or get into the show, as always, the episode is sponsored by www.reviveyourself.co or .co if you're in the UK. Where we have got our shop full of fantastic supplements that are all going to boost your health. I always love to recommend Living Fuel as a complete whole food based supplement that's just going to cover all bases. There's nothing like it on the planet. 2 scoops of it is the equivalent of $260 worth of organic produce, as well as other things. Got vitamin C in there, got natural soaps, got toothpaste for you, probiotics, greens drinks. It's just, we've got everything in there. It's all organic. A lot of it is well crafted and fermented, and I wouldn't put anything in our shop that I wouldn't take myself. Also got our whole house water filtration systems from Aquaterra 1, 2, 3 and 4 bed, soft and hard water options depending on what you want. They take out 99.9% of all the nasties that you get in the water supply. If you want clean water, then look no further than that. We've got our Aries Tech electronic magnetic frequency blocking devices. We've got the 5G option there as well. Absolutely phenomenal. I'd be getting them if I was you. You can get ones for your laptop, your phone, you get one for wear it on yourself or your car. Really, really worth investing in them. And obviously got some great products from the Finchley Clinic that we've got there. Phenomenal products that allow us to cleanse your body and boost your immune system. We've got lots of other things. We should by now have, I don't know why it's not up, but we've got our essential oil wizardry connection coming up for the essential oils, the best essential oils in the world, from Dr. Nick Berry. If you go onto his website www.essentialoilwizardry.com and you put in the code REVIVE in small letters, you're going to get 15% off, or maybe 10 or 15%. I think it's 15, maybe 10% off your orders. But they should be up on the site now. There should be a link to them on our site. Got lots going on, as I said before. And if you go to blueblocks.com, BLUBLOX.com, for your blue blocking glasses for the evening and for the daytime to block that artificial blue light, you put in the code REVIVE there, you get 10% off. That should be on our site too. If it's not, it will be there imminently. And going to have some great stuff from Ancient Purity on board soon. So the website's being updated. The book, the Chronic Fatigue Solution book that I've been doing, it is literally just being put together in terms of just get designed the cover really. The book's ready to go. And from that, we've got my new Chronic Fatigue Solution program out as well, which is a 21-day program that's going to allow your body to heal, which is coming out very, very soon. We're going to have the book, we're going to have the audio book, and then you're going to be able to get the 21-day program. It's going to be for a fraction of the price of what it usually goes for, and 21 days to getting your body back into health. Both nutritionally and mentally, emotionally, and then you'll have other options off the back of that too. So I really wanted to do, because everyone I speak to, whatever chronic illness they've got, they're always really tired, fatigued, exhausted, and not able to do all the things they want, such as playing with their kids, the hobbies they want. Maybe not even got the libido to, and the sex drive's gone, or not even able to spend quality time with their partner. As well as just be themselves and get up and perform their job and progress in their careers, or just be active around the house. So really important. I wanted to get this program out to people, and the book. The book is going to give you everything you need. Everything you need. I'm not even going to ask you to buy the book. All we're going to ask you to do is pay for the postage and packaging and printing, and it's going to be off to you. We're going to get it to you as cheaply as possible. So just work on the cover for the book. That should be out imminently. It's taken a little while, as these things always take longer than you think, but it is coming. Anyway, on to today's show, guys and girls. It is with Jason Christoff, a returning guest, and today we're going deep into self-sabotage. We talk about the dangers of blue light, how it can really impact your health and your sales communication. Talk about David Chapelle's Netflix special, and why it's so important to adult up. So without further ado, here is Jason. Here's the show, and I'll see you on the other side. I just had to update my Skype settings. I think I was just playing around with, but nice yellow top there, mate.
Yeah, we get to relax a bit when it's just audio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, well, to be fair, I do want to do the live as well, but I want to get it to a point where I've actually got a studio, or I'm going to get a setup where I can actually dial you in on Bluetooth. By trying to put together a little thing where I do some traveling in the next year, so I can go out and try and meet you all, because I've got lots of people interviewing in America and in Canada. Because we've got a health movement here, but the health industry, health and wellness, or say holistic style stuff in America and Canada is pretty big. Well, especially America. It's pretty big. Is it quite big in Canada?
I would say, it's getting there. There's an enclave of people that want to be super healthy, and they're a quiet bunch, but they lead by example.
Yeah.
So we get where we want to go. And if you ever came to Canada, and if you're traveling by, you feel free to stay at my house. I've got a nice big house if you want to find a room.
Oh, mate, I'll definitely take you up on that. Yeah, because Toronto is not somewhere I've been. I went to, I think I mentioned before, I went to Vancouver last year, which was really nice. Very, I'd say, progressive city, but very nice. Like really, really cool. Like the harbour and everything, really, really nice. But I've heard. I know people that think, pretty sure it's Toronto. They rate Toronto higher than New York. Is it? What's the big?
Well, I'm 4 hours. I'm in the same time zone as Toronto, but right. I'm outside. I'm 4 hours outside Toronto. Toronto's a very high end city. It's not like New York. It's expensive for Canadians to live there. More and more expensive all the time. I tell people I never advise them to live in the big cities, simply because, like the work of Dr. Jack Kruse, you're gonna find that there's a huge health detriment. So we can, you can pass through if you wanted to. I live in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
So you could pass through and get your health together before you hit Toronto, because you're going to need it when you're there. Because again, the sunlight is absent a lot because of the buildings, and the energy flow there is heavily electric, so it can really interfere with your electrical conductivity in your own body.
Yeah, no, that all that means cities it's funny. You look at David Icke, they say that all the cities are on selective points of energy, but the high buildings. You talk about the light, obviously the buildings and the electricity of like you're getting there, 5G, etc. Also the pollution, right? The thing is, there are fun places. There's lots of energy, lots of people there, lots going on. But the pollution. Just this year, I think England was three or more times the highest. London, 3 or more times the highest pollution of any city in the world. So people don't realise how much. I know, listening, I think it was last year, there was 150,000 cases of diabetes just related to air pollution. Pancreatic problems due to air pollution. So people need to realise, as you said, big cities and what they can do to actually increase their air quality.
Yeah, and definitely. And if you listen, I think you might have put me on to him, Dr. Jack. Is it Jack Kruse, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
He goes to the fact that because the natural sunlight is absent, especially in the morning hours, you get there's a photonic kind of a quantum electron, proton effect in the body when you don't absorb the morning hour sunlight. And it would affect the brain the most in Parkinson's, and then the metabolism, the diabetes, and then autoimmunity. So he marks those as the big three that are going to hit people if you do not allow the morning sun to set the rhythm of your organs. And that's what the morning sun does. I find it, and that's why it's so dangerous to live in these cities, because you actually, with the buildings that are around you, you're going to have a hard time absorbing the sunlight in the morning hours, because it's going to be blocked a lot of times from all sides.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think you watched one of his videos yesterday, right? Or was it the day before? I think
a couple of days ago. I've been kind of feasting on him, Jack Cruz, for the past week. But poor people who interview them, I heaven forbid you interview them. He really butchers the people that try to get him on, because he's so intelligent. Sometimes it's hard for him to get his ideas across. But if you listen to him enough, you'll get the benefit, the main premise. And the main premise is, if you don't let if you wake up and let computer light be the first light, or your phone, light from your phone be the first light to enter your eyes, your diets won't work. And I've seen that in myself, and I've seen that in my clients. And I've always wondered what the difference was between when I went to Greece and when I came back. Where in Greece, my muscles would literally double in size. I would eat twice as many calories. I have no body fat. Then I come back and sit in front of my computer, and I'm still doing the same workouts. I'm eating half the food and I'm getting fat. And according to Dr. Cruz, this is why. The light from the phone and the light from your computer makes all your organ and metabolic pathways uncoordinated. They can't talk to each other.
I've listened to a lot of his stuff. I need to listen to that again. I remember him saying that. I listened to it a while ago. I need to go back and listen to his stuff. And he is extremely intelligent. I know he's very dogmatic about this stuff, and he can be quite abrasive and aggressive with it. Because but I don't mind it. I don't care. Like, if I got him, I've actually tried to get him on a couple of times. He's busy. I'm trying to get him on my show. But I completely agree. Whenever I go away, I say to so many people, whenever I go away and I'm by the sea, I wake up, the sunlight's coming through. I'm like, this is where I should be. Like, this is where I should be. Or you just feel phenomenal. It's amazing. You can literally take the piss in the sun. Like, I know you don't, but like you said,
you can.
You can take the piss. You can take the. I mean, people go away and they're like, Ryan, I drank more and I did this but I felt really good. It's like, well, because you were earthing every day, you're going in the sea every day, you had the sunshine every day. Your food was coming from a country that's grown right there. It was all fresh. You were relaxed. You weren't worrying about your job. You were with your wife, your family. There was a million and one things you were doing that you don't do on a normal day. And having a little bit of alcohol isn't going to disrupt the other 10,000 things that you're doing right. You weren't, as you say, you weren't on your computer all day. You weren't worrying about where your next paycheck is coming. You were a million and one things you weren't doing. And I did a video on it a few years ago where I said, where would I go if I was ill? I said it wouldn't be to a hospital that's rife with MRSA and disease and dead, sickly people come in the door, they walk in the front door, come out the back in a body bag. It would be like an island like Greece or something like that, living in the sun, eating fresh food, and it's amazing what you can do when you get up. But the sun's, I mean, it's the most hidden entity on the planet. Without it, we have nothing, right? And I mean, obviously you need the seasons, etc. But it's just people. Yeah, the light. I need to. This is why I've actually not got them on right now. I was just trying to look for them because I usually put on my artificial blue blocking glasses. I don't know where they were, but I usually use them when I. Because Andy Mamp's got the website I told you about, blueblocks.com. He's got like the best ones in my opinion. He's ones.
Yeah, and it's good that the people out there know that, according to Dr. Jack Cruz, it's the light from the computer and the light from your phone is called the blue light. Mm-hmm. And that blue light, if it enters your retinal pathways as some of the first light that hits these pathways in the morning, your food, and Jack's proven this, your food won't work. So there'll be a huge difference in how your food is digested in your body because it's uncoordinated. There can't be the liver talking to the kidney and the kidney talking to the colon and the colon talking to the heart and the brain if the natural light isn't the first light to enter the eyes in the morning. And that's what Ryan's talking about, is these blue blocking glasses. They're glasses that block the blue light from entering your retinal pathways, and it'll really help. But the best thing would be to do is wear the blue blocking glasses and also go out into the morning hours and get the sunrise into your eyes. And he suggests, if you can do it, go out at other times during the day so that your mind is always marking what time of day it is, as to coordinate your bodily functions.
Yeah, I mean, there's so what we've got is the blue blocking glasses, which with a red lens. So at night it blocks out all blue light, because you probably don't want to have too much blue light at night. They've shown, girls in India, girls in Western countries are having their periods 3-4 years before some of the countries like India in the East, because their bodies are living biologically twice the amount of days as they would chronologically, because of the amount of light they're exposed to. The body thinks it's living 2 years in one, and so they're on too much blue light, as well as other things. It disrupts your hormones, etc. So the red light, the glasses at night, and the white ones for the daytime, because when you wear them when you're looking at your screen, they block out the artificial blue light. They let in the natural blue light, but the artificial blue light is blocked, which is really important. And Jim Quick, do you know Jim Quick?
No.
He's got the quick learning. He's the guy he's been in Hollywood. He teaches memory. He teaches people how to learn, not what to learn, but how to learn. And he's very famous. He's got his own podcast. He's taught a lot of the Hollywood stars how to remember their script, etc. And one of the things he said, we're in a age of so much information. We're getting so much information these days. You've got so many podcasts you're listening to, you almost never take it in. And one of the things you can do that will set you up for a day of distraction will be to look at your phone straight away in the morning, because then you're already distracted. And how you start your day is how your day basically goes for the rest of it. And so if you start with distraction, so not only with the blue light but also be distracted, then you're setting yourself up for a fall straight away.
Yeah, and I've taken, the lectures from Jack Kruse to heart. I was, out yesterday. I set up my gym outside on my patio in the back, working out outside instead of at the gym, and determined that I'm not going to work past 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night anymore. So there has to be these natural strategies, and the more successful we get, the more we can execute these strategies. So I literally have to make X amount now in a day to live the lifestyle that I want. But now I just took 3 hours or 2 hours off the table, and kind of going to have to refuse to see people past those times. So there's a whole life strategy, and a lot of people who are in the bigger cities might have to really adopt different life strategies and get out of the cities in the near future. Like Dr. Jack Kruse, he said that there's two 5G rings being built around the town of Nashville where he was, and he knows how dangerous that is in regards to the energy that flies through the air that can actually accumulate in your body. And so he literally had to sell his house, and he's a brain surgeon, so he has probably a little bit of financial abundance, especially in the States. But he literally had to move 2 cities, I think, in 2 years, because he's well aware that when you have the 5G influx of electrons and another electrical pollution, it will make him physically ill and cause him brain damage. He knows that as a fact, as a scientist. So he had to evacuate the city. It's hard to believe people are putting up with this sort of. I mean, evil knows how to bait the trap, right? Humans aren't that smart. They like their entertainment because they're leading really boring lives. And, the coup d'etat is right at our doorstep, because these 5G towers are going to inflict so much damage on the humans that I think a lot of the pain teacher is going to show up, and people are going to have to start paying attention that, they can download a Netflix movie onto their iPad in 5 seconds with the 5G network, but there's going to be massive cancers and massive diseases along with that. And once the word gets out, hopefully we can turn things around.
I mean, but you can download it in 4 seconds already. You just don't need it. Even my friend the other day, who's not even into it, was like, "Why do we even need 5G? Like, we can download things ridiculously quick now anyway. Like, there's no need for it." But with anything else, I mean, I don't. I mean, it's bad in London. I'm outside of London, like you're outside of Toronto. I'm about 45 minutes outside. Have you got any 5G towers being built near you?
No, there's no 5G towers, but you see these Gwen towers, these a little bit taller than regular towers and completely encrusted with these other microwave radiation devices. And yeah, people are going to get sick, and I'm not too sure what's really going to happen, but hopefully people start paying attention as they become more and more sick. But it's almost like 90% of the population are followers and order takers and really like get cozy inside the lies and make a house in the lie. And those are the ones that are going to be affected. Maybe the entire energetic plan is to really either wake those people up or get rid of them altogether, because they're not going to survive. They're not going to survive with their phone stuck to their head or their phone in their pocket or their Wi-Fi in their house. Their kids aren't going to survive. Their genome is not going to be propagated into the future. It's really sad. And of course, the 5G network, I mean, if you know anything about symbology, like 5 is known as the fifth element, which means the magic or the ether. And G is the 7, and it's the main symbol on the Masonic apron is the G. So it's not too hard to put together that 5G symbolically means the magic of the Illuminati or the Freemasonic Order or something along those lines. It's very obvious that there's almost a code, a hidden code inside this language to almost give us the hints and little tips of the hat that we need to start figuring all this out. It's almost like it's a very large computer system, is what it seems like, where all the names are sort of invented to either mock the people who don't know and give tips and tips of the hat to the people who do know.
Like Gmail, right?
Yeah, like Gmail, of course, with the G and the men, because it's a mail order only. There is no
same as that Masonic symbol, isn't it? The white and the M going through it.
Yeah, the Masonic apron.
Yeah, that's it.
Is the Masonic apron that you have to wear, which is even odd because the Masonic apron, the aprons are Egyptian. That's what you see all the Egyptian kings wearing in their statues out of Egypt, is an apron. And the kilt is another thing they used to wear in Egypt. And people don't even understand the connection between Egypt and the Freemasons and how all this knowledge about how to really control and dominate and manipulate lots of people is very old knowledge. It's very, very old, but it's getting some very dangerous upgrades right now in terms of electricity. That's what's really going on, and people aren't really aware, that the Gmail symbol is the exact same symbol. It is the Masonic apron. That's what it is. And how can people not understand that the Freemasonic Order might have been at one time altruistic at one time, but currently it wears a veil. It's cloaked, it's disguised. And all these men, I don't know if they're bored or they have to dominate because it's their genetic way, but it's the evil on this planet and the darkness on this planet is starting to take more than its fair share.
It's taken a lot. I mean, we want to talk about actually going to Epstein, but like when I think it was Ken Wilber talks about what we need. You know Ken Wilber?
No.
He's one of Paul Chek talks about him a lot. He's one of the great thinkers of the time. He's of our time. He's phenomenal, and he talks about for the world to change, it needs about 7% of the world to wake up and be conscious. And right now we're about 4.5%. So we're getting there, but we need a bit more people to be conscious about this movement and what's going on. And like the health industry has grown, but then again, it's like the health industry grows as the disease industry grows, and so it's like there's more of us coming around, but there's still a lot going on with factory farms depleting the soils, 5G, and I almost feel like there's going to be two different, almost like races going on. As in, like,
the subconscious mind, the way it works, it always wants to be with the majority, and it's been shown through the research that when you have an individual at home watching the TV, what's on the TV registers as what the majority is doing because it's being seen by so many people. And that's why the Facebook and Google and all this censorship has been going on, so that as the health movement grows and as the people become awakened, the other people that want to be awakened and want to be healthy still feel intimidated to do so because they're getting these constant media messages that they're not in the majority if they're healthy, wealthy, and wise. And what the subconscious does, it doesn't care if what it follows makes you fat. It doesn't care if what it follows makes you sick. It doesn't matter if what it wants to follow makes you depressed. It will follow as a point of programming based on what it believes the majority is doing, simply because it's not a happiness program. The subconscious is a fit in with the herd program. And if fitting in with the herd is about taking drugs and doing other things that make you miserable, that's exactly what it's going to do. So that's why the media knows this. Whoever's in control of the media is well aware that everybody will sort of download and assess what the majority is doing. And that's why they constantly drown the public in the tsunami of negative role modeling, so that they're more comfortable being sick and disempowered, because that's what the mind is told everybody's doing anyway.
I don't know if you saw a couple of the posts, but one of the ladies was like, "Oh my God, Ryan, since I've gone on news fast, I feel so much better." I was like, yeah, because you're not constantly listening to negative nonsense where one person's saying this, one person's saying that. It's like your life, live your life. It doesn't matter. You can vote if you want, you can do what you do, but it's no point getting involved in all that nonsense, because it just winds you up, puts you in your fight and flight, makes you stressed, doesn't give you anywhere. You can still have your own decisions, you can still have your own opinions, but when you get involved, it's everywhere. You look at Twitter or YouTube, it's just bombard you with it.
It's even worse than that. If you read the book The Bond by another UK truth teller called Lynn McTaggart, you will see the documentation and proof that, say, let's take your lady friend you were just talking about, as she watches CNN, the Criminal News Network, or something like that, Sky News, and she just is inundated with the negative energy. In Lynn McTaggart's book, it shows that essence of her, the nervous essence of her, sort of the repetitive nervous essence, gets bundled into a quantum proton or a quantum particle, and literally leaves her body and talks to the person next to her without both of their knowledges. They don't know what's going on. So the TV will infect your friend with the negativity, and it's been shown that the quantum communication between humans will infect all the other people and download their subconscious beliefs of fear, panic, terror. And the people who are doing this know all this. To us, you read The Bond and you'll go over maybe 30 experiments that prove that you talk to the people in your environment, even to the animals, even to the earth itself, even to the sun, all documented in her book. I mean, you might say, wow, this is great new research. This is not new research. This is old research, rehashed. and making people think that it's new again.
Yeah, no, this is like some of the things that Paul talks about, Paul Trek here, where he talks about this all the time. That if you get really, because we're so bombarded with stuff and chemicals and man-made fibers and stuff, if you actually relax, it's really weird. When you're like laying on the beach, you can hear the sea. You can feel things. It's weird. Like it's almost like you can know someone's looking at you, even if you don't know. But if your senses are completely blocked out by all of this electricity, poor food, your body's only as healthy as the food you eat. Your blood's only as healthy as the food you eat. Your brain's only as healthy as the food you eat, for example, and everything else that's going on. I can 100% believe. I mean, it's weird because you can feel the energy in their room, and so I can definitely understand. People say it's woo woo, but people don't. It's like the energy. Everything is energy, and we're all vibrating. We're not solid. We're not solid masses. Everything we vibrate. So dispelling that energy and that thought is the same sort of principle as if 5 women live together, their periods will all sync up to the strongest woman in the energy, and so that energy is given out. And it's same as if you're in a room full of people who are negative and you're a positive person, you'll eventually get dragged down. Unless you're really, really strong and powerful, you get put down like crabs in a bucket. Whereas when you're around people that uplift you, it's amazing what can happen.
And the subconscious does that. The subconscious is the one that has the ability to feel. Say that a lot of sororities are opening this time of year, and yes, the periods of the residents in the sorority, 80% will hook up and sync up to have the same menstrual cycle. This is the proof that the subconscious is basically a copying, mimicking, and emulating program. And it not only will take in visual cues, but it'll take in invisible cues that are not on the visible spectrum. They even had experiments, I think it was in neuroscience, the journal Neuroscience, and it's shown that they would have a blind person in a dark room, and they would cue a person that could see to make angry faces at them and then happy faces where no one could see what was going on in the room. And the person who was receiving those facial cues were blind. And they had the person hooked up electronically. And when the person who could see, obviously they were in the dark and not even the researchers could see that the smile or the angry face was happening, the blind person had body reactions and immune reactions equal to the faces the people were making, which means there's invisible communication between humans, and they can feel the emotions rather than see them. And this has huge implications for people who want to be healthy and want to do better with themselves. Because if you're around a smoker, and this is what I teach as a self-sabotage coach, if you're around smokers and you're around drinkers and you're around obese people and medication poppers and negative Nelly and stinking thinkers, your subconscious has no ability and does not care what it has to mimic in order to find safety in the group. And the reason the subconscious is such a mimicker and such a chameleon like that is because if you and I need to get along and bond, the closer I am to you, the easier we get along. So if you're a smoker and I take up smoking, I'm safer. And that's the responsibility of the subconscious, is to establish maximum safety and security by mimicking everything in their environment. And it's shown, again, that it's not only visible cues. I don't have to see you smoking all the time. I can feel you smoking through your quantum field. I can see you through walls smoking.
It's also like the part of not the reptile brain, the mammalian brain, which is all about hierarchy, right? And you don't want to be left out of the herd. So when you see people doing that stuff, or like you feel like if you don't do it, you'll be left out, it's a huge thing. It's been wired into us for millennia, you know. So, like as you said before, one of the things reptile brain all about making sure your needs are set, like fight, flight, fuck, fornicate, etc. And then the reptile brain, then the mammalian brain, all about hierarchy and not being left out of the herd. Because if you did get left out of the herd back in the day, you probably die, you'd be on your own, extradited, and so. You know, it's doing these things. It's both. So you have to be like a very conscious, strong person to understand, and to even because look, people are going to have friends in different. You have to be realistic about this. People are going to have friends that are not like them or are not like them, and you have to be conscious that when you're around them or when you go into these fields, what you can do because you want to surround yourself with people on your journey as much as possible. But you know, we've all got friends probably who are not like us. And so you have to be very conscious of this, right, when you go and interact with these people.
Yeah, and it's almost like I said, it's like a bad infomercial. It's like, hold on, there's more. When you do want to be part of the tribe, like going back to when you were describing if someone gets ostracized or kicked out of the tribe, it does register as a certain kind of death. And that's what that's why people will want to blend in, but also in the same tribal affiliation spectrum, the person as well does not want to overstep their bounds and their boundaries and become better than the alpha. So if you're in a group of 20 people in a family and the most successful person's a plumber, inside the subconscious brain as well, it knows that if you become better than a plumber, that you are actually challenging the alpha, which also equals maybe for a certain death. And it will inhibit your rising as much as it'll set your basement level of behavior as well. So it sets you in this very limited range. Now imagine if the most successful person in your family is a plumber, but they're also drinking every night and they smoke every night and they go to the doctor and they're a pill-popping maniac. And they get their vaccines and they have their gallbladder out and they're just really a human mess. Well, then your range now is even smaller. And if you dare go above that, if you grow your poppy taller than that alpha leader, and the alpha leader can be a male or a female, usually the matriarch or the patriarch, if you dare grow your poppy an inch taller than them, you're known through tribal DNA programming that you will receive an attack because you are now challenging the alpha for leadership of the group.
So how do people, this is the thing, it's weird, what causes people to step outside that? Because, I mean, for me, it was probably an awakening of my health that I was like, because I was doing everyone else and doing different things. I mean, but what gives people dreams and goals or the ability to go past that limiting or the limiting beliefs or that that structure that alpha is in? You said we're in like quite a narrow bracket of like what we think we can achieve or the baseline to the top. What allows people to break out of that? I mean, it's self sabotage coach. How come some people can just do this naturally? How come some people just got it in them to break out of that mold?
Well, they sometimes there are people that do break out of it, but sometimes they think they're breaking out of it. The subconscious sometimes has no problem exceeding the accomplishments of the alpha by, say, doubling their income or doubling their success, but they really have a hard time going above that. So a lot of people, if we go back to the scenario where there's a plumber and they make 50,000, sometimes someone can get brave enough to make 100 and maybe opening a plumbing business. And they think, I've kicked it. I got a tall poppy here. No, that's just sort of the natural range where you can push yourself through bravery. Making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 will be completely outside that person's potential unless they talk to a good self-sabotage coach. And you see that a lot, is that they'll let their poppy grow a certain amount and then they'll trim it right across. Another factor is your gender. If we go back and study mammals, like say we go back and we study the elephant, and if you watch, there's a good African documentary on Netflix now with David Attenborough, and they go study an elephant herd, and you'll see maybe 30 elephants in the herd. And if you're not aware that there's only one bull in the herd and the rest are kids and females. So as the DNA goes, the male, when the baby boy in an elephant herd becomes like a teenager, he's booted outside the tribe right away. Says, you got to go, because he's going to be trying to have sex with all the females. And the lead bull says, no, you got to go. And that happens a lot among male, herds and groups. And what that means is the males used to being out on their own anyway. So that elephant is naturally inclined to be out in the jungle anyway, lifting his weights in the elephant jungle, psychically improving himself, and then he comes back one day and says, okay, me and you, we're going to fight.
So this is why, I've experienced this as well with certain people, even like in my lifetime. Like that's what you said, people say outgrow each other, or maybe one of them gets very, very threatened of something that you're doing. I've had people in my industry, for example, I used to be very good friends with, and they see you get better, improving, make a name for yourself. They don't like it. It can be very I suppose scary for them, even though it's weird because the other people that are not like it, everyone I know who concentrates on themselves is not only become successful or whatever, does well. They seem to get on with other people like that really well, because they like to surround themselves with other people that are successful, and they don't feel threatened. They actually feel like what they can learn from people. Whereas others, sometimes they get to a certain level of success and they just want to be, as you said, the alpha, and they get threatened by people. It's weird, isn't it, how that works?
But it's tribalism in the opposite direction. I tell my clients, when someone attacks you, you have to understand that the genetic need to attack you because you're becoming better is sometimes a caring for you, because they don't want you to go out in the jungle by yourself because you might get hurt. Now, a lot of times as well, they're self-centered, because if they were in a group of 10 pub goers and you decided to give up the pub, well, then there's 9 of them. And given that tribalism is based on the size of the tribe, you leaving is a big issue. You just lost 10% of the power of the tribe when you gave up drinking. And the fact is that people in the tribe know that the subconscious mind mimics if it gets enough positive enforcement to do so. So you leaving sets up a mimicking pathway in the brain where you leaving could be mimicked. So it threatens the other 9 at the pub that wants to stay drinkers and smokers. So it's all intertwined in tribalism and group behavior and wolf pack behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's what really, if someone wants to master their life, they have to understand that, when you leave, you will be attacked. I call this the Tom Brady effect. Can you imagine the attack on someone like Tom Brady, giving the genetic programming of every human in the world to attack someone who's great simply because they're better than the others? 6 Super Bowl rings Tom Brady has. Everybody else in the world has 5. And that might be a group of 3 people. He makes $30 million a year. His wife makes 40. His wife's a supermodel. Tom Brady's also a supermodel. This man should be studied by people who want to be successful, not because money is about success, but about what it takes to walk into a population of underachievers and say, I'm great and you're going to choke on it, and that's the way I am. Because he gets attacked based on this genetic adaptation model to attack anybody that's outside the herd. Someone like Tom Brady would be attacked more than almost any other human on this planet.
Well, who attacked? Because whenever I see Tom Brady, I always get to see people just like lauding him. Who's attacked him? What's been going on? Or
Well, basically, you can even hear it at the pub. You'll hear people say, "Oh, Tom Brady's an asshole." They don't even know. It just is. If you're popular, if you're different, you will be attacked. The only way to become successful is to know why that attack will come, why and how to buffer yourself. And you asked, how does someone get by the self-sabotage? And you said you made a break for your own independence when you became healthy. The key here is understanding that health is one of the foundational things you can do to avoid herd compliance, is because health builds the energy you need to walk away from the attack and soothe yourself energetically when you're alone.
So, two things. One is what you said there, it's really important. I remember a quote. Have you ever seen the film Cool Runnings?
Was that with the bobsled team?
Yeah, and
Jamaican bobsled.
Yeah, and they're out at the bar, and the German team are making fun of them. And one of the characters goes, "Doesn't it seem to you that nobody likes us?" And he says, "Junior, we're different. Everybody's always afraid of what's different." And this sort of stands out. That quote just come to mind there. What you said, if you're different, if you stand out, people will attack you because you said you're different. It's like that crab that tries to get out of the bucket. The rest of the crabs pull him down. But from my own personal experience, I don't know, it might be different for you because you've got a wife, family, etc. Some people, being healthy, it can be quite a lonely life, because when everyone else is out drinking and partying and doing stuff, if you don't, then it can be quite a lonely place, because they're thinking, or their friendship group is not like that, so it can be quite a struggle. What would you say to people that find it a lonely experience? Just go and make new friends, go and do things that are going
to... But that's again why you're going to need the health, because it takes a lot of strength to say no to the underachieving group that's going to embrace you if you underachieve. And so you have a choice to make. It's all choices. Do you want to underachieve and self-abuse and trim your own poppy and lead a mediocre life just so that you get scraps off Longshank's table, emotional scraps from these people, so you feel better about your life that is a little bit futile? Or do you want to go and discover your true selfhood and your own independence, grow your tall poppy, let it shine, let yourself shine so bright that you blind the underachievers, and then maybe eventually they'll follow? And you have to ask as a spiritual question, why do you think you were sent here? Do you think you were sent to work a futile 9-to-5 job, drink a couple of beers after work, and watch Netflix on the weekend and buy stuff you don't need at the mall and try and decorate your empty life? Or do you actually spiritually believe you were sent here to make a difference? That's what you have to ask yourself. And I know you're sent here to make a difference, but to the people out there who are literally, hurting themselves to fit in with the underachievers around them, it's a trap. Because you're going to die earlier. You're not going to have any energy. Your penis won't stand up. Your reproductive organs won't work.
It's amazing that.
Right, and so you can be a shit wreck. Go ahead and be a shit wreck.
Right,
but eventually the pain teacher will come teach you and try to teach you a lesson.
Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I was just going to say, when you said that about your penis standing up, it amazes me how people my age are taking Viagra. I'm like, I'm 33, and as Paul Check says, my dick could ring a dinner bell. I've never ever had a problem with that yet, and it's amazing. And he's talking about people at 19-year-olds taking these things, and I'm like, are you crazy? I don't understand. I never understood it.
The thing is, Ryan, it's all part of the subconscious. Again, in our society, the subconscious downloads information at a rate of about 11 million pieces of information a second, and the part of the brain that we're talking with, you and I are engaging with right now, can only handle 140 bits of information a second. So the subconscious is always downloading quantumly and through the eyesight what everybody else is doing. And what everybody else is doing without getting attacked registers as the safeguard. And if anything that the eyes see or that the ears hear that's glorified and gets positive reinforcement gets registered as the safest card. And in the card game of life, the subconscious only wants to play the safe card and the safest card. So if you ever wonder why people are hurting themselves with drugs, injecting vaccine poisons into their kids, cutting the tops off their kids' penises when they're born and calling it circumcision, if you ever want to really know why humans are insane and do insane things, and why Carl Jung said that the humans were the most dangerous animal on the planet, it's because the subconscious will do absolutely anything as long as everybody else is doing it. Absent of morality, absent of logical thought. The guy taking Viagra when he's 19 is doing so because it's being positively reinforced on the TV and in the media. And when he went to his 18-year prison sentence that they call school, he was taught that the doctors know best and he shouldn't think on his own. And he was also taught through the cultural imprints that food wasn't important. You just put whatever in your mouth, you use your mouth as a garbage disposal unit, and then your penis doesn't work, and then you just go take a chemical, and science will always save you, and you don't have to save yourself. And all that is downloaded in the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind doesn't care at all. It never has cared ever that leading a shitty life like that will make you miserable, depressed, fat, and die early. What it cares about is what everybody else is doing and how do I fit in exactly like them. So in a society where people are sick and leading very immoral, corrupt lives, the easiest way to fit into that is simply to follow their lead.
And I think it's powerful what you just said there, Jason. I want people to go back and just listen to that because it is really important. You know, it's amazing. Say misery loves company, and it's easy to do that. And it is hard to break out of the cultural norm or the status quo. And that's why I think as well people that do are actually quite lauded. They may have to take a lot of shit and they may get a lot of abuse, but they also get a lot of love. And so, you know, it's like people that are different. My friendship group are like it. Some of my friends that they're all the same, and anyone who's different, it's very easy if you're not a strong character to break and fall in line with the herd because that's what they all think, and because they all think it, they all think they're right. And I said the other day, you know, I remember thinking 65 million people a day eat McDonald's doesn't mean it's healthy. And just because people do it, and it's like, for example, when I see my posts, I've had it sometimes, and just ignore it. You're very good at coming back to people. Like they say, you write stuff, and sometimes people will go, "Oh, you run a cult, you're a loon, this, that, the other," and you always come back with good stuff. Because when people say it, you know, because when I say stuff, I just go, "Okay, mate, you learn the hard way. It's fine," you know. And generally, you've got quite a few people on yours. You say you're people that love to follow your work because of what you do, and they'll sometimes argue your point for you. And sometimes I can't even bother to argue with people anymore. I just feel like it's a waste of my energy. I've got so much energy to go into other places when you won't argue with people, but you always come back with good responses. And so when people are like, does it ever annoy you when they call you out or they say stuff to you? Or is it just like, oh, this is my opportunity to tell them where they're wrong? Or how do you feel about that?
Well, when people, I mean, it's a lot more rare than people would expect.
On your post, for example, sometimes people will say, or they'll put certain things up, or about vaccinations, or it could be about, whatever, it's about 5G. You know, I mean, I put someone the other day. I put my interview with Dr. Deborah Davis, like the world's leading authority on it, and then there's also like Nick Pinell, who's got his great information about it, and they're like, oh, they're all quacks. It's not been proven. It's like, excuse me, have you not seen the info? So I don't understand what you mean by it's not been proven. It's right there in front of you. But some people just refuse to do it. They refuse to believe, and they personal attack.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's all part of the learning process. Everybody that, you know, every master was once a disaster. Oh, so I know the stupidity. I know firsthand the stupidity. I wasn't born this intelligent.
I love that.
I had to build it myself. So when I run across a stupid person, and in our society too, you're not allowed to call people stupid, but in my world I do, because there are people that are stupid, And it has a meaning to it, and it means the person just needs to do a little bit more research and have the courage to research outside the cultural norms.
Well, the problem with that, go on, Jason.
So I'll just try to inform them a little bit, and unless they start going off the deep end, I'll let them vent on the page and let them get it out and let some other people take some hard runs at them. But it's all part of the learning process. When someone starts to argue like that, they don't understand that they're arguing because of their programming. They're not arguing fact. They're saying, I think circumcision is good because it's the safe card. That's what they're saying. I think vaccination is good because it registers as the safe card in my psyche, and I don't have the courage to play the truth card. That's what they're saying, regardless of any comment that they got going up. Like if you ask a person and tell them that self-sabotage is based on following cultural norms without any sort of rational or logical analysis, and you bring up circumcision, anybody out there right now, are you telling me that you really thought that through in a logical and rational way? Are you seriously going to sit there and tell me that you analyzed that and even researched it, even sat with yourself for 2 hours alone and thought that through? Or did you just do it because everybody else had done it or was already doing it? 100%. And of course, in the UK, I don't circumcise as much. In the United States, it's like 95%. Canada, it's not either. And there's a reason for that. And we won't even get into the reason that, the U.S. is the circumcision capital of the world, a Jewish tradition. Why is that? And people don't even want to think, because they know when they think that the tribe is going to come and say, hey, this is a non-thinking tribe. Just follow what everybody else is doing and you'll be fine. So when someone comes back on these posts with their comments, the first thing I try to point out is that they're playing the safe card. That's what they're doing. And playing the safe card is very different than being smart or researching what you're talking about. It's also a lazy thing to do. For you to have no books on circumcision and say circumcision is good because everybody else is cutting the tops off the heads of the boys' penises. That makes no sense whatsoever. So you just try to point out the complete nonsense that they're basing their life. They're literally basing their life on the fact that they copy and mimic and emulate without any rational or logical analysis to their own behavior. Like even getting a job. Even getting a job makes no sense in a world where you can work for yourself. But why do so many people go and apply for jobs? Because someone else told them to, because that's what's in all the movies. That's what the school told them. Again, makes no sense. Going and working for $70,000 a year, the government takes 30, you got 40, the expenses are 42. And you went to university to make that, and you got to pay back X amount of money when you can go work for yourself and sell something on the internet and make like $70,000 a month. Like, are you really thinking any of this through? Is the question.
I mean, I love that. Are you really? Because it's so often people, something will happen and they're probably in their mindset, it doesn't seem right, but everyone else is doing it, so I do it. And they don't listen to their gut, they don't listen to their internal thoughts, and they just think, I've done it before myself. I'll be the first to admit I've done it before. I'm going, doesn't make sense. Then you do it, and you think, why the hell did I do that? It doesn't make sense. One of my things is to listen to my gut and my internal thought, no matter what anyone else is doing. I did it a few years ago. It was always like, whatever, I don't care if anyone else is going left. If I feel like it should go right, I'll go right. And this is one of the things that is huge for people. And it's hard for people to do that, as you said before, because, to be ostracized from the herd. And the other thing you said there, I really want to touch on, is, you said you call people stupid, and this is one of the things I'm like that. I don't care. Like Jordan Peterson, you'll never mandate my speech. I'll say what the hell I want. I don't care if PC culture tells me otherwise, and I don't care if people can shout and scream at me. I might not. It's the same with other people. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Offence isn't given; it's taken. And this whole PC culture of not being able to say certain things, and I said people said before, it's everyone loves jumping on the bandwagon or digging up people's pasts and seeing what they've done. They said something wrong once, and until it happens to them. I think it was like John Wayne made a comment in like 1970 or something like that, and they're like, "Oh my God, how dare John Wayne say this?" I was like, "Oh, why don't you dig his bones up and make him apologise?" In a culture that was, this is talking like 50 years ago.
A PC culture is just, again, the tribal aspects of it. Is you got to play the safeguard, and the safeguard is always determined. It used to be determined by what the group is doing, but the group doesn't matter anymore because the media determines what the group is doing.
Yep. So
the media dictates what the accepted behavior is. The people download it as that's what the herd's doing, and then they completely live it out. And if in intelligence and stupidity, I mean, I don't really call people stupid a lot on the page, but I will if it comes down to it. But the fact of the matter is the word intelligence, the first two words is in, meaning inside, and tell, meaning you speaking. So intelligence is about you speaking to the inside of yourself, absent of herd conformity or, where you're going to play the safe card.
Yeah.
So intelligence is you setting up counsel inside of yourself, and even enlightenment. Enlight means information or knowledge. Inside knowledge that doesn't come from the pressure of the herd. And even enlightenment means mind.
It just
enlightenment means that you are bringing light inside your own brain.
It's like they say all the time, your answers are within you. But it just astounds me how many people can fall for this absolute nonsense, and how many people love to go with it in terms of, because people say it's politics and health, but the thing is they're both intertwined, because if you believe in this culture, you never think for yourself, you never understand how they try to manipulate you, you never understand, you never take responsibility. All these things about like socialist movement where they want the government to do everything for them, it's like you got to pick yourself up off the floor and do it yourself. It's like as you said about the government or the media tell you what to listen to. David Chapelle had a new Netflix comedy show out, and things like Vice and The Guardian and etc. All these left-wing papers saying and media outlets saying 1 star, you don't have to watch it. Rotten Tomatoes took all people's comments off and they gave it like a 1 star or nothing, and said you shouldn't watch it. And it was like any of them saying you shouldn't watch it, you should. And so it backfired, and everyone has watched it. And Rotten Tomatoes, the public giving it 99%, and other people have loved it because he's coming out and saying, well, I don't know if have you seen it yet? Have you seen this show yet?
Well, his new one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I could do a whole review with that.
Yeah, but one of the things for me where he's like, who is this? He does it. He does like the whole. I've got 2 impressions. Who's this? And the second one. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what you've done in the past. I don't care how much of a nice person you are. I'm going to dig up and find something of you that you've done wrong. And then when it happens, I'm going to completely destroy you. Oh, that's you, the audience. That's how you sound to me. I was like, it's so true. It's like,
but that's just tribalism, because again, they're attacking because he's a bit better or a bit different than them. And again, the whole concept is, whether we're talking about enlightenment or making more money, losing weight, getting off your medication, having a better relationship with your wife, you have to understand how your brain works. If you don't understand how your mind works, and that your behavior is usually dictated by your subconscious mind's absolute need to copy and mimic what it sees, you better be careful what images you let inside your mind. If you're going to watch, like Dave Chapelle, we'll leave that out. But if you're going to watch, if you're going to watch Netflix and hang out with negative people, and all you do is drown your own retinal nerve with negative imagery and negative role modeling, and you have a brain that copies everything it sees, and it's been shown conclusively that your brain does not know the difference between a screen and what's happening in real life. If you don't understand that if you put shit in your eyes, you're going to act it out and you can't stop it no matter what, you better be careful who you hang around with and what images you let in. If you watch 100 movies this year and they're all about killing and vampires drinking booze like in Vampire Diaries, or Grey's Anatomy where everybody's having sex with everybody else, which is just the old Friends sitcom just in a hospital setting now. And if you think that you're not going to have an affair or you're not going to get drunk like the guys in Vampire Diaries, and you think you can control your behavior, you're not doing your research. You cannot control your behavior. You have to program that behavior into you through repetitive positive imagery, repetitive, psychic imprinting or psychic driving, where you have a positive inner dialogue with you. And yeah, you better stay away from the negative people or you will be exactly like them. And that's what people have to understand. And if you want to have the courage and the strength to walk away from the herd as they're throwing eggs at you because you have a nicer car, a nicer house, a better life, a better looking wife, and you have a better life, and they're catcalling you and throwing tomatoes and eggs, and you want to have the strength to keep going higher, not just walk away, but keep going higher, you better get your health in order, exercise, sleep, sunlight, water, food, and get all those in all your ducks in a row, because that's your fuel. That's your rocket fuel to break the gravitational pull of all the underachievers that try to keep you down. I'm pretty serious about this stuff, ain't I?
No, I think, but it's perfect because I completely agree. It's why I wish I could get everyone like I've become really good friends with in this area and move us all into one little area, because we had to take over the world. Because it's just been like being around everyone. It's why I'm part of masterminds and other things on that way, because when we all meet up, it's just phenomenal. Everyone's put in the right direction. It's just, unfortunately, it's like people can be diluted by everyone else around them, and it's why I do this podcast, because I want to get people like you who have strong opinions on this and who are trying to help hundreds, if not thousands, of people improve their lives. It's easy, and people say this. It's like I've got no agenda apart from being the healthiest person I can be, doing the best I can, and helping other people. That's what I want to do. And I mean, you're not sitting here saying this stuff because we're liars or because we're being paid by corporations to do it. We're doing this because this is what we do, and I've been through my own health crisis. I started this because I went through my own health crisis for 5 years and got absolutely destroyed by the medical industry. And when I finally learned the truth, I wanted to share it with people. And as you said, every master's been a disaster. And so you've been through your own story as well, Jason. And so that's why I know you're passionate about it. It's because you want people to be better, and also because at the end of the day, we know everyone's out there buying food, and if we're buying rubbish, they're going to keep making more rubbish food, destroying the soil, destroying the water, etc. But if we use our dollars and our pounds and our rupees or whatever else to buy organic food, to put it in the right places, that's how we can change the world. And so I appreciate you being dogmatic about things that are worth being dogmatic about. Is probably like as good as it gets. You don't have to apologise for that at all. I think it's really important. But so for people, you go by the title Self Sabotage Coach. So when people come to you, how long do you generally work with people?
Probably about, with the new process, I do have a recording that people can get fairly cheap if I'm busy with the one-on-one coaching, because I can't take that many people for one-on-one anymore, because I'm getting asked to speak publicly at a lot of places. So I work with them probably around 5 to 7 hours, and it starts with a very extensive, I think it's 150-point questionnaire, by which I'm going to assess, without their knowledge really, how they're trimming their poppy, and I'm going to know exactly what their childhood upbringing was like through their answers. Because in the first 7 years of their life, they're going to download and adopt every habit that they've seen in their family tribe first, in their greater cultural tribe second. And the subconscious mind, if given enough repetition, will take over the execution of that habit. So you learned how to walk. When you got up this morning, did you remember how to walk?
Well, I mean, my body did, yeah, but...
Yeah, and it's your subconscious mind says, I got that, because it's repetitive. I got it. And you would be really, you're super happy that you don't have to learn how to walk every day again.
Yeah.
And then you learned how to drive once, it got repetitive. And then if something's repetitive, the subconscious mind says, hey, I got it. Don't you worry about it, I got it. And the heartbeats like that, and going to the bathrooms like that, and your menstrual flow, and producing sperm, and regulating your body heat. The subconscious steps up, I got it. Don't worry about it. You just do what you got to do. And you should be happy that that part of the mind exists, because if you got up and you had to remember how to do your heartbeat, or you forgot how to drive, it'd be a real disaster out there. So there's habitual things that the subconscious grabs and won't let go of, because it assumes this is part of fitting in with the tribe and your basic needs for survival. So if your dad smoked for the 7 years, and it's been shown that the child's brain, even without smoking, is smoking. I'm not sure if you're aware of, it's called mirror neurofiring. So anytime that the dad started to smoke, the same neurological pathways, if you were to put a measuring device on the brain of the child, is already smoking, moving the hand and sucking in with the lips.
It's weird, because my parents smoked, and I never wanted to smoke.
And that's very common too, because the subconscious will say, this is a tribe where the health isn't serious. So there's many ways to get accepted into the tribe. The guy next door to me, his dad was an alcoholic. He became a coke addict. The reason he became a coke addict instead of an alcoholic was simply the download was self-abusive. So when the dad was messed up and screwed up on booze, the son would come home with coke on his face. They got along great because it was both a very similar behavior. It doesn't have to line up exactly.
But mine was different. Mine was they both smoked and I never did.
Yeah, but what you got into the medical system was just another method of self-abuse. So you managed to get out of it, but you needed the pain teacher to come and teach you.
Right.
So what you think was in your subconscious brain, you might have missed the smoking, but you took up another torch of self-abuse, which is the medical system. The medical system has no ability to cure anybody of anything. All the drugs are toxic. So, but if your family's toxic, it's a natural attraction.
Right. Got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. It's interesting the way you so because what got you onto working in self-sabotage, Jason? Because I know you're a health coach, you do other things. What led you down the road of? I sort of saw it over the last few years. You've gone more and more down this road of self-sabotage.
Yeah, because when I used to do diet and exercise, but if the original family history was abusive with their food and didn't exercise and were pill poppers and self-abusers, that person, if they did start to become healthy, so it's really easy. If someone wanted to lose 50 pounds, it's easy to help them lose 10. But they might need to lose 50. Now, what happens is that the subconscious mind becomes aware that you're becoming better than your old family vibration, your old ritual, your old ceremony. So when I used to take people and help them lose 10 when they needed to lose 50, and then when they lose 10, they freak out and they go to McDonald's to, trim their tall poppy, it's all because of how the subconscious works, where that person is terrified to go outside the herd of their original family programming. So the diet would never work, or would rarely work. And it would, if it did work, it only worked for X amount of time until they showed up at their old family house for Thanksgiving. Oh, you look too thin. Oh, are you sick? Come on, one piece of cake won't hurt you. One glass of wine won't hurt you. You only live once, right? And then all those impacts on that person would make them buckle, because it would be 6 of them at Thanksgiving versus 1 of her. And because of the way the tribal programming works, she'd always buckle and put the cake in her mouth. So instead of addressing the food, which was basically already set in her subconscious programming, I do the subconscious programming to break that imprint before we start doing the diet.
Yeah, cool. So
it's the only way I could do it. So with good conscience.
So it's like an introduction into your programs. So the self-sabotage work is what you do before you get into other stuff to let people understand what's going on.
Correct, because if they're programmed with low self-worth, and if they're programmed to be mediocre and chronic underachievers, because that's the best way they use to interface with the world, they'll never get their diet together. They'll never exercise. And if they do, the people, they might go and exercise, but then they're going to the donut shop after. Because it's always about keeping the range, right? People like that. They'll work out. They'll have a smoke outside the gym. They'll work out. They'll go to Dairy Queen or the ice cream shop because it's called this for that. If they work out, they made an inch of progress. If they have the ice cream, that inch is gone. They're happy subconsciously because no progress was made. They're at the exact same level. Now they feel safe again.
It's one of the reasons why I'm actually thankful for what I went through in terms of being ill, because it never enters my mind to do, like, it's like I know there's a certain boundary. It's sort of like it wasn't even entering my mind to go to the dairy to go have a donut, or like it might be like Christmas or whatever you have, whatever happens there, or someone's, not even someone's birthday, but it doesn't even enter. It's like why I do what I do every day. I fast every day. I have certain things, etc., etc., etc. Same as you do, have your morning routine. I've spoken about, I think, a couple of weeks ago, like every morning I have a morning routine of breath work, cold showers. I write left-handed to try and get my brain to in different ways, there's certain things I might do occasionally, but very rarely. But it wouldn't even enter my mind to do certain things. But I suppose that comes from having learned from the pain teacher. If you haven't been through that pain, people don't know what it's like. Then sometimes, as you say, they do it. It's like it's almost like they're rewarding themselves for the exercise they did, or they get back, and because they've had a hard day at work, they reward themselves with a beer, or they've been good for a certain amount of hours, or reward myself with a chocolate bar.
Well, reward. If you look at the word reward, is to do again, and ward is to quarantine yourself. Really, so yeah. It is a reward. Okay, it's re-quarantine your potential down to very minimal levels. So there's always secrets in the language, and they'll even call this junk food comfort food.
Yeah.
So they'll do exactly what you were saying. The average person might get 2 meals under their belt. That's good. Maybe 3, like heaven forbid 3. Where you're supposed to eat like that your entire life. They get 3 under their belt and they say, well, I went for the comfort food. And I say to them, that's because you're more comfortable underachieving and being mediocre than you are rising up to your full potential. So unless you're ready to leave the comfort zone with the comfort food that makes you like everybody else, 9 to 5, the grind, your coffee in the morning, your wine at night, and go to your doctor and get all your poisons, unless you're willing to be different than the herd, then yeah, you'll always go for the comfort food because you feel more comfortable being less than you do being more.
100%.
And that's why people go for the garbage food at night, because they assess their day that they actually rose up 2 inches when they actually have 2 miles to go. Can you imagine the fear where you put the brakes on a 2-mile journey when you went 2 inches and they jam some ice cream in their mouth because they're so scared to be better than the underachieving hordes that surround them? It's absolutely the most asinine way you could ever spend your time here on the planet. Really, it is.
I completely agree. Have you got a little bit more time, Jason? Or have you
Yeah.
Because I think it is a It definitely is, and that's nice. But it does take. I mean, I've been quite lucky. No matter what I've done, I think it's come from. I've learned it from my mum as well, who's a very strong character. She's never been backwards in coming forwards with her opinions, and she believes in something. She's always gone with it, and I've luckily had that. You know, people love me for the same reasons they hate me. You know, because I tell the truth, or tell what I deem to be the truth. And as you get older, you mellow, and you realise that it's not generally what you say; it's how you say it, and you try and get people over, and we get people to understand, you know. And sometimes I've learned this my own way. The best way for people to learn is to let them learn the hard way. But I completely understand where you're coming from, and it's a really important message for people to understand about that self-sabotage, because it's something that it seems like everyone does, and it's amazing for people to get out of their own. Even successful people, you know, they can do it in different ways. It depends on what you actually earmark as success, but I actually do want to touch on that because of the faces you were putting and the smile on your face. I did want to talk about Chapelle's thing. Talk to me. What do you think about that?
Well, it's Dave Chappelle's. I think it was just a typical. I think he's being given back his spotlight under certain agreements, and I know the programming in every movie and every TV show really hits hard in the first 15 minutes because of the way the mind works. So the real hard-hitting, corrupt and immoral and unethical messages will always be, and repetitive, will always be in the first 15 or 20 minutes of any kind of longer presentation like that, whether a stand-up comedy show or whether a movie or something, okay? So if you're looking for what you're really supposed to be learning from, and when I say learning, getting programmed for disaster is what I really mean. Dave Chappelle, he did pedophilia, and there were some really off-color jokes in the first 15 or 20 minutes. I watched the whole thing. He has a lot more talent than that. And his sort of real comedy he's more of a shock. That was more of a shock jock presentation. And awe, yeah. Shock and awe. And it's never meant to uplift the audience. It's always meant to throw them down the evolutionary ladder. And the pain teacher is a natural process by which you go from child to adult. It's a natural rite of passage to go from child to adult. It's a very painful process. And if you keep knocking down people down the evolutionary ladder, you keep putting off their evolutionary rite of passage, and then they become so lazy they don't really want to experience the pain. So that really means they live as perpetual infants and they're easier to govern. So when I see shows like Chapelle, which are about it's a de-evolution. There's no ascension or progression in the spiritual aspect of anybody that watched that show. Yeah. It was throwing them down the evolutionary ladder. And the reason our human farmers will always inundate us with these negative role modeling is because you can develop a population of perpetual infants that are pain adverse. So the coffee is a numbing agent. The alcohol is a numbing agent. The cigarettes are numbing agents. The opiates are numbing agents. The marijuana that's legalized here with the THC in Canada, they're numbing agents. So what you do is, by always knocking people down the evolutionary ladder into into the first chakra and second chakra, you're setting up a situation where they live as perpetual infants, which really benefits. And when they're there so long, they don't want anything to do with the pain that comes to find them, to try and drag them kicking and screaming into the future. So that's why all these substances are there, and this is just the best way to govern this many people. You have to keep them in the perpetual infant state. Then you have to give them a whole set of narcotics to sort of dull them from coming into communication with the pain teacher. And then and only then can you have the criminal organization, this rogue organization that we call government, sort of manipulating everybody from the top of the pyramid. So when I see a Chapelle show, I don't see it as a show. And his comedy used to be funny back in the day. I found some of his stuff was funny and true, but it was intertwined with some hard-hitting, immoral, and corrupt messages.
Yeah, it was. Imagine I spoke about it because there were some messages at the start. Well, I just like the fact that he just, looking into it, I suppose, but I like the fact that he seemed to say what he wants, and he's against this PC culture, which I'm very, very, it just drives me insane a lot of the time. People thinking you can't say certain things, and
he went out and said it, and that was good. But the another thing about the self-saboteur is, it's great to say what you want to say, but if all you do is knock yourself down and knock other people down saying it, why can't you just bring yourself up? And I had to say this conversation a couple of weeks ago with a self-sabotage client. She wanted to stand out in school like we all did. Okay, we all had the need to stand out and be unique because it's a sameness culture at the school. You want to go grab your uniqueness so that you have some sort of stability and foundational, maturity. But the fact of the matter is, she shaved her head. She got kicked out of the school. And I told her, and she didn't get kicked out by the administration. She was forced out by the negative response of the student body because she shaved her head and became like a goth sort of figure. And I told her, I said, have you noticed anytime you try and stand out in life, you never even considered standing out being rich or healthy or super smart? Why is it always a race to the bottom to stand out? And that's what I see as Chapelle. Sure, he's using his voice to say stuff that no one else says, but it's still a race to the bottom. So, if you want to be funny and you want to knock it out of the park, uplift people and still be funny. David Chappelle's antics in that thing is a lazy man's attempt at comedy.
Right. So
there's more complicated ways to do it.
So who would be someone in the comedy, for example, that you look to and say they're raising people up? Kevin Hart?
I haven't seen any comedian. I don't even remember. I could never judge the old comedy shows with the brain I have right now, but I watch a lot of comedy. Anthony Mercer, he's an Italian. His name's Anthony. He's on Netflix. Half of his stuff is very funny and it's not super offensive. Anthony
Mercer?
No, not Mercer. It's a huge, long Italian last name, but he is on Netflix.
Okay, I have a look.
It's just like situational comical events or situation. But people have to be very careful what they put in their eyes. That's always my main message. Be very careful what you expose yourself to. Your subconscious mind is extremely powerful at downloading the patterns that are in our society. Those patterns are not very good right now.
Yeah, I always say it to people, like, it's not just what you put in your mouth, it's what you put in your ears and your eyes, and it's why it's so important. It's why it's great for people to listen to podcasts like this. And you got a choice right now more than ever before. You can listen to uplifting stuff with truth in it, or you can listen to the nonsense that's put out by the mainstream media. And so this is why it's great having people like yourself on the show. People who actually get exposed to different ideas, different ways of thinking about things. And this is why everyone I know who's made a success of themselves thinks very differently to the herd. Just because everyone goes left, it doesn't mean you should as well. What's that quote? It doesn't matter how many followers you've got in certain ways, because Hitler had millions, Jesus had 12. Look at them now, And so it's really important for people to understand there is a different way of going about things, and you can live a different life, and you can reverse your chronic illness, and you can reverse your if you have a maybe poverty mindset. You're able to get out of that. You've just got to come at things from a different perspective and a different way from what you've been taught.
Yeah, you definitely have to look at your programming and understand you most likely downloaded it from your parents in regards to money and relationships and job and income and what you do on your spare time and how you think. And if you don't like it, you're gonna there's a couple, probably 5 ways you can change it, and someone's gonna have to sit down with them and explain that. and make sure they know how it works.
Awesome. Well, Jason, mate, I think it's been great talking to you. I mean, I know we'll get you back on. We'll talk about things in the future. But anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just I thank everybody out there that's trying to be better, and that I know you said you don't have an agenda. I have a kind of an agenda because I've discovered through many works.
I meant a dark, horrible agenda. I've got a good agenda. Yeah.
You have a good agenda. I have I don't even know if my agenda is good or bad, but given that I know. What people have to understand is if I'm next to you on the bus and we don't talk and you're like a little messy and I'm really watching my health, quantumly your body is influencing my body. So my agenda is if I ride the bus, everybody's healthy and everybody uplifts each other, even if we don't have a conversation, because it's already proven. If people want the proof again, go to the book, The Bond, by Lynn McTaggart. She's a great UK author, showing that everybody on that bus is talking to each other anyway, even if there's no verbal communication.
Maybe that's why they're putting these electric fields up, so we can stop communication between us. And it's really interesting you said that, because I remember Paul Chek talking about things like that. Like if you're really healthy and someone next to you's got ill health, the person's body with ill health will start to take health from you. It's why you can be around people that are unhealthy and feel very drained afterwards.
It is, and that's what it's like. And the way your subconscious mind works, if it's 10 unhealthy people on the bus and myself, it's 10-1. My body, as a natural genetic instinct, wants to get off the bus and start mimicking habits that make me fit in with them, regardless of how real strong I am. That's the important thing to take away from all this. It's very important for everybody to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, so that when we do come in contact with each other out in the real world, we're exchanging positive pleasantries between each other on a quantum level. We don't have to take all the negative from the other people. This is very important to how we're going to heal the world in the future, is knowing that we don't have to talk to each other. And this is why I go to better hotels, I go to better this, I go to better that. I'll pay an extra $150 a night to be at a good hotel because the 3 chefs in the back have higher quantum vibration that goes into the food. They're more picky about what they put on the plate. They have pride in their work. Very important to understand that the people we're around, especially the images we download from the TV, have to be positive and empowering, so that we take that on a quantum or subconscious level and want to mimic that, and we don't even know where it comes from. But that's why so many people are sick today, because they're actually doing, leading out and mimicking and emulating what they see, and all they've been shown out over the past 25 years is how to be unhealthy, how to eat McDonald's, how to go get a vaccine, how to go to the pub and drink and cheer at the soccer game. This is, if you want to collapse a society, this is what you put on the TV screen. And you have leaders that also do negative role modeling, like the one you have in the UK, like we have in Canada, and like the US has in the US. We can't keep getting all these negative images to copy and download and emulate and think that our society is somehow going to pull itself out of this nosedive. We got to make sure we as humans start doing the positive role modeling with ourselves and the people around us. And we can just kind of solve it from the ground up. Turn off your TV, folks. That thing, you want to make a big move to your best life, throw your TV out.
I think we'll leave it there, mate. That was awesome.
Okay, the rant over. Christoff out.
I think it's awesome. No, I want people to listen to that. That's why I think it's really important for people to understand that, and you put it in a really good way. And I totally agree. It's when you It's like when if you take your TV or you've got YouTube, you can listen to so many great people like yourself, Paul Check, Kevin Wilbur. I mean, there's a great podcasts out there. I mean, other people out there. Dr. Cruz is on there. You know, you can. Well, now we've got Audible. You can listen to these books if you don't want to read it. The Lynn McTaggart's book, The Bond. You can get it on Audible. You can get all these different things. So there's lots of different things you can be listening to. It hasn't got to be negativity. And right now we're going through this whole Brexit thing in the UK. I mean, I voted out because not for different reasons than anyone else, because I don't want to be part of a one world government. I don't want people to rule me. I want to have a sovereign. People don't understand that, and I said at the time, they never let us leave. They never let us leave because the European Union and everything, they want to be combined. They want a one world order. They want an agenda. They want a centralised government and a bank. And so when the people did stand up and they did make a choice, they put all this fear, scaremongering into people. Oh my God, it'll be a disaster for the UK, this, that, the other. I mean, the UK is, it's been absolutely fine, and it always will be. We've got a great economy, and people want to do work with us and sell things. They might. It's like they like to put the fear of God. It's like the oncologist telling someone who's got cancer, you need the chemotherapy, you need the radiation, you need the surgery, or you're going to die. And the people that walk out and they're going to do things differently, it's amazing the results that they've been able to get, you know. And it's scary. We live in a world where people's fears are played on all the time, and
well, that's what it triggers them into the IQ of an infant. So again, you go back to the perpetual infant. Someone tries to scare me with fear, it's different. Like you can't, it's like, you can't farm lions. You can only farm lambs. And the easiest way to get someone into the lamb level is to use fear. And if they're not confident, if they're not healthy, if they're not strong, if they don't believe in themselves, that fear takes hold of them, and they're always looking to get on the government tit and have a hard suck and pretend that the government is there to help them, but there's actually no evidence of that whatsoever. So are you really thinking that through? Are you really thinking that through, that the government's there to help you, or you're just a perpetual infant?
I don't know where my phone is. Here it is. I want to say this because I took a picture of this today. I thought it was really funny. What you just said there is right. It's like when people say, "Oh, the government wouldn't do that," it's like, have you ever read a history book ever?
They don't. They just want the lazy way out. They want to get back to the coffee shop, least amount of thinking as possible. They don't want to interrupt their slave-based day with some independent thought and then take the wrath of the herd for thinking their own thoughts. Well, that's what they want.
Here it goes. It's got Justin Maloney. He put, I considered selling my weapons back to the government, but after a background check and thorough investigation into the buyer, I determined the buyer has a history of violence and is mentally unstable. Big risk to everyone around it. And I was like, that's wicked. I was like, exactly. If you were saying,
that's exactly like, and just because the government hands out, and that's why the government has the jobs, right? And they're always trying to, every job is a paid for vote, because if there was no government, most, half the population, it's actually not half, it's only about 20% or 15%, they wouldn't have any work. And they've been on the tit so long, they don't know how to make their own milk. So of course they're scared to death that there's going to be no government or people who rebel against the government. It's absolutely insanity. But when people want to get really down to it, don't worry about all that stuff. Just start to govern yourself like you live in your own country. It's 1 foot by 1 foot or 2 foot by 2 foot. It's the country called you. And you can be the moral king of your country. You're not going to pollute it. You're not going to disrespect it. You're going to defend it when it needs defense, but you're not going to go punch a guy in the face at the bar. Okay? So you defend when it needs to be defended. You run your own country like you think your country should be run by others. And if you do that, if you can respect your own 2 foot nation called you, and you can run it in a moral and ethical way, then your say is just as important as everybody else's. But if you're going to use your mouth as a garbage compactor and fill your eyes with trash fire Hollywood media, you have no chance at any sort of beneficial culture that perpetuates into the future. You have no chance. The culture is made up of individuals, so you can be strong and healthy and build your culture, or you can tear yourself down with various addictions and various forms of gov love And you can drive your culture into the toilet until some other strong culture wipes you out. So if you really like your country and you really like yourself, put down the poison, adult up, and let's get going here.
Adult up. I love that. Adult up. It's not man up, adult up. And it's so true what you're saying there it's just amazing, the amount of people that, it's what you said about the government being, the amount of jobs it has. It's like the cancer industry now. There's more jobs supporting it than there is. It's just for the people getting cured by it. It's just like it's its own industry. And people need to look at it, as you said before, as you said earlier on in the show, start thinking logically, meditate on it and go, does that seem right to you? Like, make your own decisions.
And that's, we could go on forever. No one's thinking this through. Start thinking things through. Like, if you're in your house right now and you're listening to this and you don't have a book on your shelf about things that are important, but you got a wine magazine and a travel magazine, give your head a shake. You're a victim. You're a victim. So start getting self-educated, listening to podcasts, download some books you can listen to, and buy some real books so that your kids can see a reading, so they have something to mimic and download into their subconscious. Get off the TV and start dreaming a little bit above your subconscious range that the subconscious mind has downloaded from your first 7 years of life. Dare to push a little bit on those ranges that are inhibiting you. And, come to if you want some shock jock stuff in the right way, come to my page, Jason Christoff, and it's a picture of me on Facebook, Jason Christoff on Facebook. There's a picture of me and my wife and my daughter on the deck of a sailboat.
Yeah.
And if you want little pep talks like this all the time, in maybe article form, come to my Facebook page or go to my website, jchristoff.com. Christoff is Christ with an OFF on the end. And just start saving yourself in order to save the country. You can't vote and outsource your power to other people and say they're going to fix it. You have to fix it. But with your health, you can't ask the UK Prime Minister to come fix you when you don't even want that responsibility yourself. It makes no sense.
That's the problem. Massive problem.
But he's going to come clean your life up when you're down at the pub? What do you think he is, Harry Potter? Doesn't make any sense.
It's just true, and it's as Jordan Peterson says, make your own bed first and treat yourself like someone you care about. Jason, absolutely brilliant. You've actually mentioned the two places people can find you, which is great. jchristoff.com or on Facebook. I've always communicate with Jason quite a lot. We'd be putting this out anyway, and people, it's not the first time you've been on the show, Jason. I'm sure it's not the last, so people probably know you anyway, so which is brilliant. But Jason, thanks very much for coming on, my man, and as always, it's been a great talking to you.
Thanks, Ryan. Power to the people.
So, guys and girls, that was episode 129 with Jason Christoff. Some really interesting information there about blue light and obviously about self-sabotage, and some interesting discussion about David Chapelle's Netflix special, and everything about us becoming, like, if you want to become the best person, you want to break free of the mold you're in and up level your life and yourself and get healthy. You're going to have to, if you want things to change, you're going to have to do things differently. If you want things you've never had, you've got to do things you've never done before. And I think it's a really, really important message, and to understand what things are holding you back, the social constraints, the group dynamic, maybe feeling like you're going to be challenged by the alpha, or losing your friends, losing your group, and just the things you're going to have to do. It'll be different. So it is definitely something that we all have to look into. And people who want to thrive, you've got to do things differently from the herd. As Jason said, you can't slaughter lions, you can only slaughter lambs, and so it's time for people to understand you make the choices that you want to get better. You've got to make different choices. You've got to make the choices you have to make, and then start living life accordingly and doing the things you need to do. And so awesome episode with Jason. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week. As always, if you are dealing with a health issue and and you're looking for, and so it always annoys me when I get messages through like that. If you are dealing with a health issue and you're looking to overcome it, and you're looking for one-to-one support and a program that enables you to do it, and someone who's been there to guide you through the process and get results. If you haven't been looking on our social media, revive_yourself on Instagram, revive yourself natural health. I think it's actually Revive Natural Health on Facebook, or just follow me, Ryan Martin, on Facebook. You haven't seen the results we've been getting with people. I mean, some of them are just phenomenal, and we've got our program and it enables people to go through it, but it's all credit to the people. They're the superstars that actually put the plans in place. I can show them the way they have to walk it, and they are doing it, and our clients are just great examples of what can be achieved. So if you are dealing with a chronic health issue and you want to put it behind you for good, then you can email me at ryan@reviveyourself.co, ryan@reviveyourself.co, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Or you can head on over to www.reviveyourself.co and hit the contact button and send me a message, and I'll get back to you as and when I can. Otherwise, guys and girls, that's it for this week. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.